Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Joe Scarice, co-founder and co-host of the Creative Birth Strategy House here on Clubhouse, as well as nationally. We're on our 75th plus episode. Check us out at the Creative Birth Strategies website.com. Please check us out. Download our podcasts. We have been really providing some great education, some networking opportunities, insight. We're very consistent in what we do. We want to really be a service provider to real estate professionals and services nationwide in providing different subject matter to hopefully they could take it and kind of translate that into their own business and model. So quickly, I want to do some invites to some people in Clubhouse itself. But in the interim, I want to thank uh, our hosts, our moderators, and obviously our sponsors that are here every single weekend, providing and supporting us. I'd like to thank Miss Linda Pelagas with Realty 411. She just had an unbelievable event at the Los Angeles RIA Expo. They had several hundred people there. I think it was somewhere close to 700-800 people. I want to thank Mr. Eric Moss, where I'm a referral partner with MB Capital, providing unsecured business lines of credit for real estate professionals nationwide. I want to thank Mr. Yerdal Perkins, who is the social media architect to all this, and also the co-founder and my co-partner to this podcast. Without him, we wouldn't be here. He has been such an asset to what we do every day in providing this education to our clients and to our followers. He's with Perkatech. He's provides social media analytics and graphics to different individuals to really enhance their real estate presence and as a service provider or a professional. Then I want to thank Lendmark, where I'm a senior loan analyst providing asset-based lending nationwide. You could either white label and market our products as a broker or correspondent, or you can be a direct with an investor where we're providing DSCR, we're providing fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, multifamily, mixed use, blanket loans nationwide. Like to have a call to action. If you want to sit down and figure things out from a real estate professional perspective, let's have that sit down. Now you're going to hear some background noise going on. I'm calling live in from the Ohio RIA, where they're having a national event of speakers, vendors, real estate investors throughout the country, the RIA members as well, various RIAs throughout the country as well. So a little back noise. We're going to do our best and try to make this thing work and hopefully keep providing you insight today and as well as tomorrow morning. We're here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. We're here every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m., providing education, networking, and opportunities. So the subject this morning, deal or no deal. We just had a mastermind, which we host every second Monday of the month in Philadelphia. And we did a deal or no deal. And a lot of people just don't know how to structure a deal. They take a lot of workshops, they take a lot of information, and they just don't know how to get it together to get pricing, get a quote. So I just thought it would be smart to do this. So when you're whoever you're going to work with in the lending space, you'll be a little more prepared and look that much more professional with precision and direction in what you're trying to accomplish. So we're gonna put it together, and we're gonna have that discussion and kind of give you an idea what is the deal or no deal strategy. But first, I always like to catch people up on different things that are going on in the market. I do follow and post a lot of information from Mortgage News Daily and DS News. So rates closed out on the base rate on a 30-year fix about 7.09. Thankfully, in the commercial space, we don't follow the 10-year treasury as much. We follow the 5-year, where the rates have been starting off at around 6.5 still, and staying very steady there. We do see some favor with the Fed announcement this week, where we can potentially see a quarter point drop. Will that impact the 5-year treasury? I don't know. I do see rates coming down a little bit into the winter months, maybe by a quarter, maybe a half a point. But again, the 10-year treasury is staying very steadfast at 7% and above. And the job reports were miserable, I have to say at least. You could take it for what it is. I put a comment out just last night. U.S. economy added just 12,000 jobs in October. You had to see the volatility comments. I didn't say anything more, nothing less. Just put that comment out, and it was amazing how many people reacted to it. I didn't just I was just stating a fact. There was nothing skewed about it, but it was very interesting to see the comments. I think I have like 30 comments in each post in my three different Facebook profiles. So it was quite entertaining, to say the least. I wasn't saying one thing or another. I was just stating a fact of what was released yesterday. Uh, we're not looking good on a recessionary environment. We are definitely job reports, unemployment numbers, inflation numbers are still right in front of us, smack in our face. I'd be concerned. But as a real estate professional, this is an opportunity. This is a window to identify opportunities where people are scared to make moves. So the deal or no deal idea that we're discussing today, I think, is very important. So very funny, but I did post it on my Facebook, and we're connected. Take a look at it. You'll see all the laughs and face expressions, and one has like 32 comments. I'm like, okay, I let it run, but if it gets a little nutty, I usually delete some of the comments. But very interesting comment from last evening. But let's catch up on some of the DS news as well. Will Americans relocate if there's a presidential candidate loss? That's a very interesting article. I'll probably post that today. That's on more market trends on DS News. I don't. I think they're over exaggerating. People are not going to move out of the country. They're not going to move. People are migrating based on safety precautions, standard of living, barrier of entry. That's including renters and home buyers. So they're looking to live below their means, not above their means. So why everybody's moving out of California and New York? Because of safety, because of crime, because of taxes, because of inflation. It has nothing to do whether you're on the blue side or the red side or the green side or the yellow side, whatever side you want to live on. Okay, so I think that this article is kind of interesting. I'm sure I'm going to get some comments on that. Real estate agents, another article. Real estate agents weigh in on the impact of NAR settlement. I'll be at the National Association of Realtors convention in Boston this week, and I particularly picked that event to be at because there's a plan of at least 15,000 real estate agent attendees. It'll be very interesting to see what they're thinking, how they're thinking, and what is their plan going into 2025. So that'll be an interesting. That's an interesting article on DS News. And one last article we'll cover real quick. Uh, Strong housing market impacting the zombie foreclosures nationwide. Okay, so maybe there's not as many residential zombie properties that are out there as an opportunity, but I see the opportunity in the commercial office retail space. Um, Basically, where you're going to have zombie buildings where they're going to become almost like white elephants. And if they don't get converted or identify another type of commercial presence into those buildings, they're going to stay empty for quite a while. So I think the zombie foreclosure impact is really going to be on the commercial side, and how that bleeds into the residential will be yet to see, because if every mall in the country is going to add 1,500 to 2,000 doors in every one of their malls, how is that going to impact the, the stimulation to buy your own home instead of renting, when you're getting complimentary bagels and donuts and the gym right down the second floor, first floor, or a pool, and walking your dog on the imaginary garden park? Those things are going to appeal to somebody, where it's going to lessen the appeal to buy a home. Now, how does that impact the landlord is yet to see as well. The individual landlord owns 10 properties, and how it's going to impact their bottom. So, very interesting article. I did post that yesterday on all my social media pages. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that bleeds into the residential environment as commercial collapse. So let's dive into deals or no deal real estate investor strategies. I did post this article on LinkedIn, and I put a survey out to it as well. So, if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, please do so. I put a lot of polls out there for you to be able to evaluate and vote on. I'd love to get your vote and see what your thoughts are on a lot of the upcoming polls. But number one, networking is a key element in success in real estate investing. It's building relationships and can lead to new opportunities, partnerships, and insights. And these are some strategies how to identify deal or no deal first. And we'll go over how to identify a deal as an investor when you're penciling down a deal. And if anybody wants a copy of this, please email me or text me with your full name and email, and I will send you the questions to ask to understand how to pencil a deal down. And I'll send you also the standard application that any lender will be looking for, as well as the standard checklist to collect on an asset-based loan, whether it's new construction, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, DSCR. So first and most important, who are the clients? Who are the borrowers? What are their percentage of ownerships, right? Also, what's the name of the LLC that's buying the property or owns the property? What is the credit scores of the borrowers? Now, the smartest move you want to make, whoever has the best credit score, you want to make sure that they're 51% of the owner, because the best credit gets the best leverage or the best recognition of pricing, right? And you have a deeper discussion with your lender to make sure that you understand that and they understand that. And make sure your operating agreement says that as well, because you'll have a problem when it's submitted incorrectly. So you need to make sure you understand the credit score in relation to rate and leverage. Then you got to look at what are the bank statements, because we're not looking at tax returns, W-2s, 1099s, or pay stubs. We need a bank statement. Now, if it's a refinance cash out, we use the cash out as part of your reserves. You could have $5 in a bank statement, but you could still, but the cash out will justify your reserves. Okay, savings, 401k, checking, stock, etc., is considered reserves. Even whole life policies with obviously with policies with money in it, that can be looked at as well. And then we need to know what the subject address is. And then we need to know whether it's a purchase or refinance. And then we need to know what the asset type is: single family, 2 through 4, 5+ unit, mixed use, 30 unit, 50 unit, office retail. We need to know what that is. Then is it a fixed to rent, fixed to flip, right? We always look at everything as a fixed to rent anyway, even if you're flipping it. And we have to justify, what if we don't flip it? Does it work to hold it? And then what the purchase price is, or what the original purchase price was, and the close date. Current balance, if there's a balance owed on it, if it's a refinance. Repairs to complete, or repairs completed. Say you bought something, you had to go through the permit process, but you did some cleanup to the unit, and now you're looking to do a delayed financing construction loan. You want to understand how much the lender wants to know how much you put into it before coming to them for the full loan. Okay. Then you want to know what the after repair value is or the current value is. Then we want to know what the expected monthly rent or the current monthly rent that's on in the subject property. We want to know what the yearly taxes is, and there's a catch there. If you're pulling permits, you need to understand it. Your taxes might go up post completed project. So really take a look at that. And another thing, if you're in a flood zone, you definitely need to understand what your flood insurance is and your standard insurance is. And then there's some basic experience questions. And this doesn't stop you from getting a loan, but it just allows us to figure out how your leverage looks like, especially on the fixed to rent or fixed to flip or new construction. We're going to go over this. We look at an 8-year look back. The first 4 years, how many flips completed in the past 4 years? How many rehabs to rental completed in the last 4 years? How many rentals purchased in the last 4 years? How many new construction completed in the flip in the past 4 years? How many new construction completed for rental in the last 4 years? Then how many third-party renovations as a GC, third party, completed for real estate investors in the past 4 years? And then we look at the next 4 years, same questions. And that gives us a classification of A, B, or C, or newbie. And it's okay, either one, because it just allows me to figure out, or the lender to figure out, what your leverage allowability is, what your rate is, and how they're going to structure the deal based on LTV and LTC. So these are just some things we're going to get started with. Stephen, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, deal or no deal strategy.
Must move backwards to this area. A lot more price sensitive, a lot more narrow ability. So when I'm doing the numbers, I look at 30% maintenance vacancy management. I look at protecting myself that way. When I'm looking at an ARV, If the low to middle ARV is, if it's 100 to 140 on the ARV, I'm going to probably expect a sale of 115. So for me, the deal or no deal is more about beating up the numbers up front, because when you're only going to be selling for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, you don't have a lot of oops room left. And it is key to bring in have a good team and bring them in. I'm looking at a deal right now, and some things look questionable. I'm not quite sure what the rehab numbers are going to be. I got an underground sewer line issue, whatever. Bring your guys in that you can count on. Not chucking a truck, real plumber. What's it going to take to replace a sewer line? Because I don't have a lot of price sensitivity. And in my market, for me personally, most things are fixed to rent. And also, a little bit of flipping I'm looking at doing, or a little bit of new construction. Not just after the election. I'm not blaming everything on the election, but I don't know what it's going to look like in 6 months when the ice goes away and I've got to start selling this thing. What's the market look like? So my piece on deal or no deal is be hard on the numbers going in. Don't say, "Oh, I think I can get that done for 5,000." Put down 8 if that's what your guy tells you, and then try to beat it up after. So that's kind of where I'm coming. And also, the last thing is it's key to go through. He's asking. It makes a lot of sense. So having the right people on your team, and then trusting what they need to know. Let them have what they need to know. That's pretty much what I got to think at first.
Thanks, Steve. Had to mute myself just in case of any noise in the background. I hope everybody can hear me clearly. Calling in here live from the Ohio RIA. You hit some great points. I'm going to add to that as well, because some of us are beginners, right? We all start somewhere, right? So the deal analysis basics always apply. And Steve touched on that, but there's some property details that you should know, right? I mean, like, I'm not here to guess, okay? What's the square footage of the property? So if you're doing a rehab, are you changing the square footage of the property? Are you increasing the square footage in the basement or the attic? I need to know this if you're doing a renovation loan to justify the value add to the property. Then I want to know how many number of units there are. I mean, like, how many units do you own? Or how many units are in the subject property? And what are the number of the beds and baths in each unit? Like, if it's a 1 unit or 2 unit, or it's a 2 bath, 2 bedroom, it's a 1 bath, 1 bedroom, it's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. We need to know these things to better justify value, especially if you're doing a value add. And then purchase information. What's the purchase price? What's the rehab and improvement estimates? What's the after repair value? And then there's financing details, loan amount, down payment, interest rate, closing costs. Then you need to understand the property income or the future property income, rent price, additional fees for laundry, parking, etc., garage space. We can't usually use garage income. If you add it into the lease, don't put it as an addendum, because then I can't use it as part of the rental income. Just add it to the rental income in that lease. And then there's expenses you want to look at: property taxes, insurance, management fee, maintenance fees, operating expenses, and utilities. These are all very items that you need to understand, and you need to break it down. This is actual data that you need to understand. You need to understand net operating income equals income minus expenses. You need to understand cash flow equals net operating income minus debt service. Then there's return on my investment. ROI equals cash flow divided by investment basis. And these are how you make your investment decisions, right? And 10 habits for successful real estate investors: understanding deals or no deals. We're planners. You need to plan the deal out. You need to establish and achieve short and long-term goals when you're understanding your deals or no deal strategy. You need to understand, do your homework, be part of the process, pencil your deals down. Don't go into analysis paralysis, but know what your deals are. Then develop trust with your power team and people that you need to successfully be a better real estate professional. And developing that niche, it generates respect in your market. Okay. and stay up to date to trends in your market because that applies to understanding, is it a deal or not a deal? And be prudent with your risk. Have a good CPA, have a good attorney that can bounce stuff off, even have them on retainer. And seek help by real estate professionals. They need to be as smart or smarter than you. You want to not be always the smartest person in the room. Build out that network. Your network is your net worth. It's really true. Justin, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do. Oh, I lost Justin. Steve, I'm going to come back to you. What's your thoughts on additional insight to this?
What could be a beautiful 7-brick unit, side-by-side row house, everything I personally am looking for. Big bedrooms, everybody has their own exit, and I was all about the property. And I knew it was not a A-class neighborhood, B-class neighborhood, but I didn't realize till I talked to some of the neighbors that it was a neighborhood I needed to stay away from. So doing your research isn't all about the book. It isn't all about the appraisal and this and that. Doing your research is knowing what you're buying and what direction that neighborhood's going in and who you're going to have for tenants. Doing that research is knowing that, I'm, a friend of ours, Mike, does a lot of flips and a lot of builds in very high end areas. And that market is probably going to stay more stable than another market. And also knowing the zoning changes, or now in our area, and I think it's nationwide, if you're adding a unit, if you're changing the legal unit mix, and in some cases, even if you're bringing your dead unit back to life that's been dead for too long, now they're going to require sprinklers. And I haven't done anything. It can be tens of thousands of dollars to sprinkle. Need bigger water pipes to drive them. And I do mostly single to 5 units. I'm getting a little bit of the things up here for the most part. So, if you buy a building and say, oh, I've got 30,000 in cosmetic and systems rehab, and then you take it over and find out the zoning board won't let you change it, or you take it over and find out that you're going to need to do a $60,000 sprinkler system. Well, then what do you have? What do your numbers look like? So talking to your code officers, talking to this. And, I kind of glossed over what for me is the most important number, one of those important numbers in my rental numbers is maintenance vacancy management. I take out rent minus hard cost, and your lenders and everything are taking out 5-10% for maintenance vacancy. For my market, I take out 20 to 30 maintenance vacancy management, and for my management company, and the rest is some mix of maintenance and vacancy because these buildings are older and just infrastructure of an older building. If I was buying in a 1980s market of Florida, I don't have that problem. So maybe, or at least not to that extent. So that's what I meant when I say take out maintenance vacancy management. But the biggest thing, and I almost didn't do the neighborhood research. I saw this beautiful 7 unit for a great price. I almost grabbed it. And honestly, I don't think that's a price I would take it now that I've learned about the neighborhood. So it comes down to doing, your boots on the ground. It comes down to doing the non-traditional research. It comes down to, that kind of gut feeling sometimes about what the place is. And so that's the thing. The mistakes, the best deal of this, we'll finish with the best deal made and the bad one not done. We've all got the disasters in our history, but thankfully I haven't had any that killed me. If you're buying at the tax sale, you can't get in the building. You might have a broken main beam. So be ready for that when you're making your offers at tax sale. I see people buying at tax sale for more than they would spend for the same house on the MLS. So, the less information you have, the less you can offer. That's
Steve, great stuff, man. And you hit some bells and whistles. I'm calling in from the Ohio RIA Expo this morning, live here at the Great Wolf Lodge in Mason, Ohio. Probably about 800 to 900 real estate professionals and investors merging in on subjects and discussions and masterminding and overviews. So keeping it moving along. Hopefully you could hear me clearly in here. We'll be back here as well tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, live again here at the Ohio RIA. And what Steve's talking about is, like, I just took an application from someone that wants to renovate this property. It's in New Jersey, and it's currently a mixed-use designation. I'm like, well, you need to convert it. You need to get permits to convert it to a single-family residential. Oh yeah, yeah. They told me, yeah, just verbally they'll take care of it after the closing. Said no, 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 no. That's not how it works. You need to get permits in process stating that you're converting this to a residential property, or I can't do the loan. It's pretty clear and crystal. There's no kind of sort of on the back end. I can't take that risk and find out that the person that told you that didn't have the authority to give you that information. So at the end of the day, you need to have documented trail. I'm going through the same thing with a three unit right now. And it was a mixed use firehouse. It converted to a 3 unit residential, and they refused to get me documentation stating that it's a 3 unit residential. They keep sending me these emails that are just long storied emails from somebody from the town. Get me the permission and the permits and the zoning designation change to 3 unit residential. Then I can help you. I can't, there's no egg without the chicken. So in that mindset, you need to understand how to navigate and have a better, precise discussion with your lender, or it will fail. The only person you'll blame everybody else but yourself if you're not transparent and proficient with what you're doing as a real estate professional. That's a fact. Navigating the world of deals and opportunities can be a very tricky endeavor. Whether you're a savvy, real estate investor or a marketing professional, or just distinguish yourself from the rest by being precise and understanding a deal. Understand that you're buying the property in an LLC. You're not buying it in your personal name. You want the asset protection. You also want to understand how to put together an operating agreement. You want to understand how to put together articles of information, EIN letter of good standing. You need to have bank statements. You can't be crossing out bank statement numbers. You got to be very transparent and integrous with your lender or whoever you're working with. You got to be honest with your credit score. I had another client I talked to yesterday. Went through the whole rigmarole, and finally he tells me his credit score is 620. That's not going to work. I'm not. I told him I don't work with any type of loan below 660. Why would you go through all this without telling me the truth of your credit score? I said, well, now we got to bring a business partner in at 51%. So now he's going to bring his mom into the deal, make it work that way. She's 51%. She's got a 700 score, and we're going to make it work. But why did you take me down this whole road knowing what the end result's going to be? I need to have a partner at 51% in the operating agreement that has a credit score of 660 or better, or the deal won't work. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought maybe you can slide it through because it's such a great deal. No. Great deals are supported by great people. Great credit gets great opportunities. Fix your credit. I don't care about the story. Just get it fixed. Whatever you got to do, get it fixed, because credit is your backbone to success as a real estate professional. Telltales of a bad deal. Let's go over that real quick. Promises without substance, unrealistic expectations, lack of transparency like hidden fees or costs, ambiguous terms and conditions, high pressure tactics, urgency without justification. Everybody's in a rush. When everybody's in a rush, there's something obviously not right, right? Limited information sharing, power of the gut feeling, subconscious processing, emotional radar, big intuition things. You need to have intuition as a real estate professional to know if it's a deal or no deal. And balancing intuition with data-driven decisions, intuition as an early warning system, learning from past experiences, intuition informed by experience, tuning in your intuition and wisdom of mistakes, seeking confirmation, using intuition as a starting point, validating with data, trusting your decision, confidence in your choices, learning and trust. Listen, there is nothing wrong with firing people in your world. If they're not working, if they're not integrous, you could let them go. You'll believe me, everybody will forget about it 2 weeks from now. You need to stay on the righteous path to be the best investor and identify the best deals that work for you, not for somebody else, but for you. And that's important when you get into this space. You need to understand that you could walk away. There's no cannon to your head, no horses chasing you. This is a long-term play. It's not the short-term play. Steve, some additional thoughts to our discussion this morning, deal or no deal strategies. Steve, are you there?
Yeah. Yeah, right here.
Contracts. One of the problems up here, and I imagine it's everywhere, is contractors can be fly by night or they can be awesome. And so, getting a reference from another investor on the contractor, getting several, getting the lead from another investor, knowing that when you sign that contract with that contractor, they're going to show up, and writing your agreements with them and with all of your team members to be, it's a contractor. If you tell me you're going to be there every day of the week and you miss 3 days, put it in the contract. I have the right to cancel you because sometimes state law can leave you hanging. And then also, the other thing is make sure you talk to your local municipalities. This is a permission, not forgiveness arena, in my opinion. I'm much for forgiveness rather than permission in certain areas, but I want to talk to my code officer. I want to talk to my county assessor, my town assessor, whatever, my zoning officer, before I ever exit due diligence, sometimes before I ever even get into a contract, because are they going to reassess me when I pull a permit? Are they going to reassess me when I buy the house? Are they going to reassess me when I get ready to sell the house? Meaning, are my taxes going to quadruple when I turn a dump into Taj Mahal? Are they going to, like Joe said, it's not, well, gee, they said the conversion to this other use is going to be easy. Get that in right. Get that through the zoning board. I did purchasing a bar that had a park upstairs during the store. And the town was kind of unclear on what I'm still like, okay, we're zoned properly for the new use. And then somebody in the town said, oh, you still need to go to the zoning board. And this is like the week before closing. We closed due diligence way before. And I'm panicking because as the group, I'm like, wait, what did I miss? So it turns out we had to go there, but it was a formality. They couldn't stop us. But make sure you get it in writing, which I did have. I had it in writing. This is going to be okay. You are permitted use. Make sure you have that before you exit due diligence. In this case, $40,000 through $250,000 purchase, $40,000 due diligence earnest money. Well, if there had been a mistake, that would have been a big mistake. It could have been a big mistake for my firm. So knowing that you have all those, that the town can't come back to bite you, the neighbors can't come back to bite you, the contractors, once you give them a deposit, they're not going to come back to bite you. And going through that up front, the contractors, you will sign your contract up front, but going through all of the things that could go wrong after you buy it with the deal, and all the things that could go right. Do you have a Rent-O-Meter or some other third-party rental numbers telling you what your rents are going to be? Not, oh, I hear people are renting for $25,000 a month in this neighborhood. No, show me the numbers. Show me if you're a market where realtors do the renting. Get that from your agent. Have here Rent-O-Meter or something. Have some reason why you think the rents are going to be what they are. And if you think the rents are going to be $1,600, budget on 12. Budget on some, go hard before you sign, and then try to turn the knobs after you sign or after you own it to make your life better. If you plan for 12 and get 16, you're happy. You plan for 16, you get 12, you're not happy. You plan for a realtor to sell and you don't need one, you're happy. You plan for no realtor to sell and then you need one, you're unhappy because that 6% is now going out the door. So that's overanalyze. And if it's borderline, decide if you're really willing to be on that border.
Great stuff, Steve. I appreciate that. And the reason why I'm muting because there's a lot of back noise, but I want to make sure everybody know I'm calling in from the Ohio RIA live here at Great Wolf Lodge in Mason, Ohio, providing here every Saturday and Sunday morning education, networking, and strategy. And today's discussion is deal or no deal strategies, and we're breaking it down. We're peeling that onion down and seeing what's in there, and hopefully providing value to our listeners. And that's the biggest concern. We're at our 75th episode here on creativebirdstrategies.com. So check it out. You need to add value to your relationship. You need to also, network with other real estate professionals as well. Like, when's the last time that you have, hang on a second. Last time you have sat down with a mortgage broker or lender, sat down with a contractor, inspector, property manager, title company, attorney, real estate agent. Like, when's the last time you had to sit down with a real estate agent in the market that you're focusing on? Like Monday afternoon, I'm meeting with a real estate agent, and he's bringing in 6 of other agents that he's going to put a team together in this what I call marketing plan that we're putting together. We're investing into a bunch of software to identify off-market deals. He's not playing around. He's bringing 6 people into as a lion pack. I mean, and he's taking this very seriously. And we're ready. We're to have a really big conversation with the investors that are ready to invest this money every month. But yet he's not sitting around his hands and thinking about putting a deal. He knows how to put a deal together. He knows what deals work for investors. And so he's building a team around him so he doesn't get overwhelmed. So you need to learn how to network with other real estate professionals and have time with them. Have a conversation with them. Add value to the relationship. Make introductions, right? That gets you deals or no deals. Okay. Offer help, be genuine, follow up, and then also invest in your personal branding. I think your personal branding is so important. Developing that niche, creating content, professional profile. I put out 2 to 3 articles a week and polls that you could vote on every week. It keeps the enhancement and the inbound inquiry. And then hosting your own events. Like, we have a mastermind in Philadelphia, second Monday of the month. Everybody's welcome to come, right? We put it out on the table and we talk about things, and there's no general speaker. It's a discussion around a big round table of investors. That builds relationships long term with your network, long term. Good morning, Anna. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Deal or no deal strategies.
Yeah, that's a long time.
We're about 40 minutes west of Philly, and I've been doing this for 12 years. Aside from selling real estate, I'm also an investor and a mentor for new agents who are getting into the business. I do like what you mentioned about getting with agents, the right agents, of course. 30% of all my business is off market, and that wouldn't be possible if I didn't have a reach, a sphere of, investors, of other agents who, I can reach out to, because when it's not in the MLS, we have different rules and how we can market it. And, I'm able to have, ironically, I call them open houses, but they're not. They're open to my investors that, from this hour to that hour on this day, come and make your bid. I don't even have an asking price most of the time. So it's just basically, I have a client who wants to throw this out there, see what happens without going in the MLS, and I'll have 40, 50, 60 possibilities and prospects who would buy something like this. And even in the off-market arena, I'm capable of having multiple offers. So it's a fun game, this game called real estate.
Yes, it is a game. No doubt with that, Anna. Anna, are you going to be at the National Association of Realtors in Boston, Massachusetts this coming up week? Mm-hmm. No problem. Well, we'll get to run into you one of these days. So Anna touched on some really key strategies for deal or no deal with a real estate agent. Identifying motivated sellers is number one. Market analysis, that's where you tie in with a good real estate agent. Off-market deals. When a realtor has off-market deals, they're ears to the rail. Fast due diligence, right? You got to be able to have the right software and worksheets to pencil your deals down. We offer that through our Creative Birth Strategy House. You email me looking for worksheets to better pencil your deals down. I send them out to you immediately. I teach you how to price your own deals out and understand creative ways to get into deals and financing. What is the rehabilitation potential? What are your negotiation tactics? Be prepared to negotiate aggressively on price, closing costs, contingency. Secure the best deal possible. Some important factors you need to consider when deciding deal or no deal. Purchase price, repair costs, rental income potential, location. What is your exit strategy? Building a strong network, utilizing technology. Stay educated. and be patient. Opportunities will present themselves. Good morning, Travis. Welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Deal or no deal strategies.
Hey, morning, Joe, Steven, Anna. I'm Travis. I'm a real estate broker here in the Houston market. I've been investing now since I bought my first house in 2001, and then a year later bought a second house and rented out my first house. And so that was really my first move into owning a rental property, but really started buying real estate in 2004 and got my license in, I think it was 2006 or 2007. I can't remember anymore. And have been doing real estate ever since. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know that I have a lot to say right now about deal or no deal. I think it really has to depend on what your goals are and how the numbers look. I mean, there could be deals all over the place. And, you know, if you want something that your goal is to buy a property that you can own with hardly any money out of your pocket, then, you know, maybe you find a property that you buy subject to. And, you know, if you don't know what that is, I'm sure you can look it up. There's plenty of resources out there to talk about it. But, yeah, so I think it really depends on personal preference and the numbers and what you're looking for, if it's a deal or not. I heard a little bit of what Steve even was saying earlier, and I agree with there's when you're dealing with contractors or just about anybody, definitely have it in writing. Even, but I always tell my new landlord, it's like, okay, you got a new tenant. Like I just had I was never rented out a house before. They're renting out their first home that they bought, and he's like, okay, how should I call them up? Blah blah blah. I'm like, look, go get yourself some software like Rent Ready or Avail or something, and you know, make it a habit that people are communicating with you in writing, because it needs to be in writing. You could have all the conversation you want with somebody, but if you don't have it in writing, what do you have the fallback on? Just your memory? That's not 50%. I think it's something else. It's not even true. So, yeah, definitely have it in writing, as Steve was talking about earlier. And for me, it's all about the numbers. That doesn't meet my goals if it's a deal or not.
I would say, aside from the numbers, there is one other important aspect, and that's the use. Living in Westchester, Joseph, I'm sure you're familiar with Westchester, PA, and it's a 3-unit, but it also has a stone barn, which is dilapidated, needs a ton of work on the barn. Also has a pond and a waterfall, and it's on 8 acres. And if you're putting pen to paper, this property makes no sense for an investor. Cap rate incredibly low. You know, it just needs a ton of work, even after the work is done. It just, for 3 units, like it just would not make sense for you to buy this for $1 million. Yet we're under contract for 1.1 because there are a particular buyer pool if they are to occupy the property and convert some things and do some things, that owning that plus the potential of owning the neighboring properties, which those neighbors want me to list now that, you know, I've sold this for what I've sold it for. They're like, hey, if the buyer wants to buy ours too, because who's got 4 acres and who's got another acre and a half, and if you own the whole thing, that would be really spectacular. All I'm saying is, I knew taking this listing that this is not an investor buy. On paper, it doesn't make sense. It should go for about 7, maybe 800, maybe. But for the right buyer, this makes all the sense in the world. And surprisingly, the amount of interest that I had on it, I mean, a little bit, I was even surprised, I'm not going to lie. So all I'm saying is sometimes, I guess that's where it comes in handy to have a realtor who understands that particular market, right? And understand the value of, because it's not always, dollar in, dollar out, and here are the numbers. This is what you can do. It's also what could you do beyond what it is currently.
Great stuff.
Would be used for that marketing. And I'm flying. Okay, sorry to just jump in, but deal or no deal also applies to who you're working with. It applies to your contractors. It applies to, all the way down the line. And when dealing with contractors, make sure you hold enough on that last payment, however you structure the deal. Make sure you hold up the last payment. If they don't get that last payment, it's going to hurt them. Don't leave 10% to the town. Because is it really worth them coming back to fix the problems you pointed out for 10%? If you're holding back 30-40%, it's worth him coming back to fix the problems. So deal or no deal applies outside of just the contract, outside of just what your lender or competing lenders or whatever might offer you. It applies to every part of the deal. And as she just said, property looks like X now, but if you end up with 20 acres in the right area, do you all of a sudden become something that an amusement park or some other kind of resort would like to take over? Does that change what you are as you start adding the properties around it?
Some great ad here. What I hear is the mastering of the art of real estate deal analysis, right? You have to have vision on all. If you're going to really successfully make offers on promising avenues of wealth accumulation and financial stability through buying real estate, success hinges greatly on the ability to analyze deals effectively. Okay. Every property represents a unique opportunity, and understanding how to properly scrutinize each deal is very paramount for the investor. So again, we provide the questions that you need to ask. You need to be precise. You can't kind of have numbers. When somebody gives me a renovation cost between 75 and 125,000, that's their number. They're failing. They're absolutely failing. I said, well, do you have a construction budget and a draw schedule put together? Oh, what's that? You're not even at the starting line as a real estate investor if you don't have that software or that spreadsheet to put together for yourself to provide to somebody to actually understand. How do you think your renovation costs are between $75,000 and $125,000? So there could be a $50,000 mistake, and you think your after repair value is anywhere from $250 to $325. That's ridiculous. You need to know a number working with a good real estate agent and to comp that property out, or even buy lunch for an appraiser and pick their brain to see what the values of that property is. Like Anna's up in the Westchester market. I know that very well. I'm doing a renovation loan right now up there. I double checked with an appraiser and I double checked with a realtor up there that's involved with the deal and gave me comps to make sure that after repair value's there, to make sure that there's an exit strategy there. It's a very strong market. It's not having the same relevant problems like in the immediate Philadelphia proper market. Okay, it's a whole different venue. So understanding your deal and with your power team is extremely important. And then there's another thing. I always advise everyone, hire a home inspector that understands investment properties to match up with the contractor estimate. And then on the way out, as they claim they're done, send that home inspector back in. They're going to catch stuff that the subcontractors that the GC hired that might have missed, right? And then that's going to come back and bite you in the butt 2 months later. I mean, especially if you're going to flip the property, don't you think your new buyer is going to get a home inspection? Wouldn't it be really professional to have your home inspection in the seller's disclosures and providing that and being transparent and offering a warranty to the property as well? What are you doing? You're eliminating the art of the negotiation on the buyer side. You're providing everything in front of them. Here it is. Take it or leave it. Okay. And this also catches the contractor on the way out because they want to get their last payment and go on to their next project. Now you don't have to hire somebody else to finish up their mistakes, their issues. That home inspection on the back end will protect you so invaluable. I did that for every single one of my flips, every single one. And every single one came with a home warranty, and I provided the home inspection in the seller's disclosure when I sold the property. And it eliminated the whole negotiation piece. I mean, I give sellers you mean on the listing side for me? Well, I always gave the listing back to the individual that got me the property. Does that make sense? I never left them out. I know it's a little weird.
I've been encouraging my sellers to perform pre-home inspections. And I would say more than 90, probably like 90% of all my sellers do perform a pre-home inspection. And yet, if they're interviewing other agents, I can't tell you how many times a seller has told me, really, my other agent said that, why would I do that? That's like opening up Pandora's box. And, it's likely that the buyer will waive the inspection contingency period anyway. And I find it very interesting, like the different school of thoughts. My feeling is yes, because we've been in a rising sellers market and now a ridiculous sellers market continues here in Chester County. However, in the offers that I receive, and I have one that just went live yesterday, and same thing over and over again, every single offer that I receive, they waive the inspection contingency period. Where if you didn't have a pre-home inspection, sure, you would have some buyers and their agents who are encouraging them to waive it, which I think is certainly, has its own challenges. But you certainly wouldn't get all, right? There's always going to be those buyers who that's just too high of a risk, and without knowing what they need to know, aren't willing to even make that offer, knowing that they're competing with other offers who are way more so. PAR put out a stat, Pennsylvania Association of Realtors, last year, that there's been a 42% increase in mediation requests after settlement, primarily due to seller disclosure issues. Right. So, like, to me, I think you'd be a fool not to do a pre-inspection. Yet I have, agents in my market out there who are telling consumers who's the opposite.
Well, they'll weed themselves out, Anna. Usually, yeah, it usually happens that way. I mean, listen, I stuck to my guns on what I did, and I was very successful with all the flips I did. I don't know if I really want to do any more flips because the market's shifting. It's more of a hold pattern. So I'm looking at a whole different type of asset. But if I went back into flipping, I'd go right back to the same basics, right? The basics, old school will always provide the righteous outcome. You could have all the modern technology in the world, but there's standard basics, and they could just change the terms every 10 years for people to learn something new in a new workshop book or something like that. But at the end of the day, doing an inspection with your contractor and doing an inspection on the way out, you're keeping everybody accountable. Everything's transparent. And at the end, if you're flipping the property, the transparency is key because then there's a lot less mess on the back end. And if you're willing to give a warranty on the house too, I mean, you're justifying that your home inspection and your work is integrous. So in conclusion, in some of my thoughts, and then we'll come back and get some exit discussions from everybody real quick. Mastering the art of real estate deal analysis requires a comprehensive understanding of market dynamics, financial metrics, due diligence processes, risk management strategies. By following these steps and conducting thorough research and analysis, investors can make informed decisions and identify lucrative investment opportunities in an ever-evolving real estate landscape. Remember, successful real estate investing requires patience, diligence, and a willingness to continuously learn and to adapt to market conditions. By honing your analytical skills, and staying vigilant in your investment approach, you can unlock the full potential of real estate as a wealth building asset class. And that's what deal and no deal strategy really is, the backbone to that. Travis, your final thoughts to their discussion this morning, deal or no deal strategies.
You guys have talked about, everybody here, I think it's excellent information, and what they were just discussing as far as the inspections is key, man. Like all you guys talking about that. If you're doing a deal that you don't really know what you're buying or you're getting into, then you better go hire somebody who knows what's going on, because that's going to kill you. That's my final thought on this, Joe.
Thank you, Travis. Stephen, your final thoughts to our discussion, deal or no deal strategies.
Yeah, someone has mentioned, what other agents in the market may or may not do. I personally always do home inspections when I finish a flip. It's something I picked up recently, but it's something I do, and I always give home warranty. In fact, actually, one of my management clients, we were considering parting ways, and I was going to give him a home warranty on all the work we'd done on his properties. Not that I had to, but I don't want to look over my shoulder for any reason. On the reverse side of it, and I had a huge, one of my students actually, I wasn't even involved in the deal as an agent. She was buying a multi, and her buyer's agent, I said, I want an estoppel certificate from all the tenants you're buying, signed by the landlord and the current tenant before sale. And her agent said, well, wait, why? We have this verbal and we have this lease and we have this. I said, I don't care what's in the lease. And the verbal doesn't tell me anything because it's verbal. I want the day, but the week before, the month before you sell, landlord and tenant are saying, here's how much security deposit is in place, here's how much rent is owed, here's who takes care of snow, grass, or even for tenants standing, not standing. Because when the deal is done, and my student in this case, but my client goes to evict a tenant or whatever, landlord said no security deposit, so they transferred no security deposit. Then all of a sudden, tenant comes out with a security deposit check and says, you owe me $5,000. And if you don't have the estoppel, then you don't have that. And I had a seller who claimed all of his security deposits had been used for other reasons before we closed on a deal. Come to find out, not one of his tenants agreed with that. So he was ready to transfer no security deposit, and the buyer would have owed 20 grand in security deposits with those different leases. So an estoppel certificate was new to me, 4 or 5 years ago, but it's something I do every time now, and I do it with my sellers too. Telling the buyer, hey, this is the current situation between landlord and tenant. The lease might say something slightly different, but here's today. And that's part of your due diligence when you're buying a deal, is the lease might have been done 10 years ago with a $300 security deposit. What is it now? What has changed? Getting that information in writing, giving that to your lender, letting everyone know, giving that to your title company, this is what we're doing, before you take over and find out the story isn't quite what you heard of or what you saw. And I was not surprised at all, the 40% increase in due diligence, or rather disclosure problems when people start waiving inspections. That even as an experienced investor, I always bring at least a contractor to the building, at least a bug guy, because I only know what I know. I'm not a contractor by trade. So if I'm not bringing an inspector, bring someone that knows more than you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Anna, your final thoughts to our discussion this morning, deal or no deal strategies.
Sounds like the moral of the story this morning is, before we're trying to identify the right property, that you create the right team for that property, right? That you interview and identify the right realtor, loan officer, appraiser, home inspector. If you're in an attorney state, get yourself a really good real estate attorney. That without that team, God help you try to find the right property on your own.
Some great insight from some great real estate professionals this morning. Okay, so I really think from the deal no deal strategy, I thought a lot of people probably thought I was going to kind of break down deals. That's a whole nother type of discussion, and that's something where you got to do it more on a Zoom call, one-on-one, or kind of a class environment. I wanted to help you understand and master your mindset in understanding deal or no deal. surrounding yourself with positivity and setting goals and visualizing the opportunity in front of you with the right power team and embracing challenges, embracing a growth mindset and believing in yourself, right? Introducing the best self-talk and people versus your mindset. And you got to ask questions. You got to learn from failure. You got to use affirmations and developing self-awareness and encouraging positive feelings. These are all great characteristics to a real estate professional that understands a deal or no deal. And that's the strategy, right? Is keeping a great mindset and learning how to recognize your inner critic, practicing gratitude, refrain from negative thoughts and setting your priorities and shifting your focus. And there's nothing wrong saying hello to somebody, good morning or good afternoon, and asking a question. There's no bad questions in this space. All right. And there should never be a bad question being provided in this room. Okay. Everybody's welcome to come up and raise their hand and post a question or a statement. I want to thank everybody this morning. We're here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. and every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. CreativeBurstStrategies.com. We're here on Clubhouse for the last several years. We just got past our 75th episode on our podcast. Check us out. If anybody needs worksheets to pencil their deals down, the questions to ask one on a scenario, what is the proper checklist you need and the proper application you need to identify a deal. If you need a debt service coverage ratio worksheet, a cash on cash worksheet, construction budget and draw schedule, an executive summary, how to summarize a deal for yourself. Also, how to price your own loans out. Email me, text me. My number's available on my profile. My email's on my profile. Let's set up a one-on-one. Let's get you to be a better educator. If you want to be a broker or correspondent, we have a white label marketing product as well to provide you the opportunity to be a lender as well. And I would be a glorified account executive and help you and support you and be your backbone to lending opportunities. And my quote this morning, well, first, I got to thank our sponsors. Mr. Yarlo Perkins of Perkatech. We wouldn't be here without him. He's your social media architect for being a real estate professional. Reach out to him at any time to have a one-on-one. I'd like to thank Linda Pelagas from Realty 411, providing national events and national publication for real estate professionals nationwide. I want to thank MB Capital, where I'm a referral partner for unsecured business lines of credit. And I'd like to thank Lenmark, where I'm a senior loan analyst providing asset-based lending in the real estate investor space for DSCR, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, multifamily, portfolio lending, here to provide you hopefully the next steps of being the best real estate professional you can be in your market. And my quote this morning, just close your eyes and think about this. You are a beautiful being. You deserve to be surrounded by beauty, and you deserve beautiful things. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. live from Ohio RIA here in Mason, Ohio. And everybody have a great Saturday morning. And I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds.